basically there are two ways of making the cover that I'm going to show you. And both ways start off the same way. So you can either make a cover that's wrapped in a piece of paper like this one. This is kind of like a traditional book cover. So you have the cover paper that wraps right around the sides of the cardboard that makes the cover, and then it's covered by the end paper of the book. So in this case, because it's an accordion book, the end paper is the last page of the book. So you see how it's taped, or not taped, sorry. See how it's glued on there, and it covers up where this cover paper goes around. So I'll show you how to do that. And the other alternative is that you can make a book where you cover that cover cardboard in tissue paper, and still that tissue paper has to wrap around the cardboard cover and come to the inside of the book. So I'll show you more about that later, but those are your two options. So basically, no matter what, your cover will not just be exposed cardboard, and it will not be the paper of your book. So you will be attaching a piece of cardboard as your cover, and then how you choose to cover that cardboard is up to you out of these two options. And if you choose to do the option where you use paper to cover the piece of cardboard, you can collage onto that paper, you can paint it first, you can use colorful paper that we have here, and then once it's attached and once it's finished and attached to your book, you can still add onto it with collage or paint or things like that after it's attached to your book. So you have a lot of options. So the basic method, it involves some measuring and a little bit of math, but it's not too hard. So basically you're going to take your book and you're going to measure out, you need to measure out the size of the cover pieces of cardboard, which need to be the same size as each other, and then your two cover papers if you're doing the method where you cover it with paper, which I expect some of you will want to do. So the cover cardboards, which is also called book board, we're just using cardboard that's here. There's lots of cardboard, there's different thicknesses, so you can use what works for you. So what you want to do is unfold your accordion book and measure one page. The reason you're going to measure one page rather than measuring the whole book is that because of the folding, the book might not, it might not measure the same, like, there might be some stuff that sticks out, and it might be small. The front page might look smaller than the back page. So just unfold it and measure one page like this. And then you want your cover board to be 1/4 of a centimeter bigger all the way around than the cover page, which means that you can just add 1/2 centimeter to the dimensions. So basically, if it's 1/4 of a centimeter bigger all the way around, that means if you line it up in one corner, it's going to be 1/2 centimeter that sticks out around the edge. That makes sense to you guys? Okay. So you want to measure it. So I'll measure mine, and yours might not be, they're probably very similar, but they might not be exactly the same as mine, so you have to measure your own. So mine is 14 centimeters by 11.5 centimeters. And I would recommend that you always write down your measurements as you go along, because you think you're going to remember them, but you might forget, or you might forget whether it was 11 or 11.5 or whatever. So it's important to write them down as you go along. So I have 14 by 11.5. So my cardboards that I need to measure need to be 14.5 by 12. And that way I'll have 1/4 of a centimeter extra all the way around. So I would take a cardboard and I would measure my measurements. So 14.5. 14.5, I can make a line. And then the other way, it was 12. So I'll measure this out, I'll cut it out. Most of these pieces of cardboard are thin enough that you can cut them with scissors. But if you need an X-Acto knife, you can use one. Just let me know, because I'll get you a cutting board and a glove so that you don't risk cutting yourself. So I'll measure it out, I'll cut it out. I already cut mine out, so these are my boards. And then we have to measure also the end papers. So the end papers need to be 1 centimeter bigger all the way around than the board. So if you put the board on top of the M of the cover papers, there's 1 centimeter difference all the way around. So the way that we can do that is by adding 2 centimeters to the measurement in each direction. So if my board was 14.5 by 12, my papers would be 16.5 by 14. Math. So I already measured these 2 papers. If I'm going too fast for anyone, please let me know. So I already measured my 2 papers, but you would just do the same thing. Take your paper on the back, the side that doesn't have anything on it, or if you're using construction paper, doesn't matter. So, and I'll show you all the paper materials that we have available after I'm done the demo, so you can kind of think about what you want to use. So you do your measurements, you cut out your papers. So once you have your papers and your boards cut out, this is the part where there's some, technique involved. So because I'm going to use glue, I'm going to put down some newspaper underneath just so I don't get my area all gluey, because you are working with your final book, so you don't want to get glue all over it. So you can set your book aside for the moment. So you're going to put the cardboard book board right on top of the end paper, or the cover paper, I mean. And then you need a brush and you need some white glue. You guys can share these containers of white glue, or we can make some more containers up if we need to. So you're just going to put some glue on the 4 corners of the cardboard, like that. And then you're going to fold the corners of the paper right over onto the corners of the cardboard. Can everyone see that? And then once you have folded all 4 corners, you just will hold them down for about 10 seconds so that they stay. So white glue is best. I did do this using a glue stick before and it did work okay, but just so you know, but it was a bit finicky and it kept popping, the paper kept popping off. So it's better to use a white glue because it's a bit more sticky. So then once your corners are sticking down, we're gonna fold up all these side pieces. So I would glue these one at a time so that your glue doesn't dry out. So just put some glue on the edge. If anyone is having trouble seeing what I'm doing, please let me know. So you put your glue on the edge, you fold, and be really careful that you're folding it up, that you're folding neatly, because you want this to be as flat as possible, since you are going to be gluing your end page of your book onto this surface. So you fold that up, and again, just hold it for about 10 seconds so that it stays. And then you have your first edge of your book cover. So I'm going to do that on all the edges. So I'm just doing it quick and I'm not holding it down for the whole 10 seconds just because I want to quickly show you. But you definitely should hold it down for 10 seconds because you don't want anything to come undone and make your book look messy. And it's okay if there's some glue that seeps out onto the cardboard, because you're going to see in a second we're going to cover that all up. So once you have it like that, that's going to be one of the covers of your book. And so this, like, as you can see, I chose just a piece of patterned paper. But if you wanted this to be the front cover, you would want to like put your title on. You could collage your title on after you attach it to your book board, or you could make your design first on the piece of paper and then just line it up so that you know it's centered on the book board. That's up to you. But so we have, that's one of my covers. And then I would do the exact same thing with my other cover before I attach it to the book. So have both covers finished before you attach them to your pages. But I'm not going to do that now just because, in the interest of this demo being quicker, I'm just going to attach it to my book with only one side of the cover done. So the way that you attach it to your book is pretty simple. You want to unfold your book so that you're just working with the one end page. And you want to line it up and make sure that none of the cardboard is going to be visible. So in other words, it's not like this with the cardboard sticking out. It has to be lined up centered so that none of the cardboard is visible. And you also want to make sure that at the back edge, that fold is inside the cover, so it's not sticking off like this. So you want to make sure everything is nicely lined up. Ideally, you want to wait till this is dry so that it doesn't leave glue marks everywhere. But since I'm just showing you quick, I'll do it like I'm doing it quick. So then you just want to put glue, not a crazy amount, but on your cover all the way around. And stick the end page of the book on, and make sure that if you have already put anything into your book, make sure that you know which one is the front cover and which one's the back cover, and that you put them on where they need to be. And then just press down all the way around and try to press from the middle outwards so that you get rid of any air bubbles so that your page lies flat. And then you have your cover. So now you can see, you can kind of get the sense for how this book will work. So your accordion book, once it has both covers, this is how it'll look. Any questions?